Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Circuito Lucas Guerrero. It is a fantastic opportunity for an amazing start to the European season to be witnessed here. 11 races that will decide the fate of the IAME Winter Cup, the second running of this incredible event. And my goodness me, it is going to be a sensational spectacle. Jake Sanson here up in the commentary box overlooking the starting gantry. 22 races yesterday, 11 today, but these are the 11 that count as it will decide the fate of the X30 Mini, Junior, Senior and Super Shifter Winter Cup here at the Cartódromo Lucas Guerrero in Chiva outside Valencia. It is an amazing and gorgeous day. Yesterday was a bit cold and a little bit windswept with an awful lot of rain clouds that didn't really break, but it was quite nippy. However, today is beautiful, golden, crisp and clear sunshine, and it is going to give us an amazing 11 races to decide the fate of the 4 drivers who will be crowned our X30 IAME Winter Cup champions. Let's refresh what happened over the course of Saturday's action. The competition is intense, the atmosphere is immense, and it's going to be an absolutely incredible day at the racetrack. Hello and good morning to those of you who have just joined us here at the Cartódromo Lucas Guerrero. It is an absolutely fantastic day, and Jake Sanson here in the commentary box overlooking the starting gantry. We have one heck of a day at the races for you today. 11 races across the four classes, X30 Mini, Junior, Senior and Super Shifter, and it will give us a spectacular day of action. The first major event in the European karting season, and it will be incredibly intense for all of the drivers as they go wheel to wheel around this magnificent circuit of tight twisting technical challenges, and we will have a supreme motor race over the course of the four classes. In X30 Mini, X30 Senior, X30 Junior and X30 Super Shifter, we will have an absolutely spectacular battle with all of the four classes going down to the wire here this particular weekend. We have already a lot to talk about from Saturday's 22 races, but it will be a sensational battle no matter what. We have an incredible competition in the X30 Minis over the course of their two finals today, pre-final and final later on today. The battle is between the three local young Spaniards, with Miguel Pero Lozaraga getting the pole position for today's races, along with Santi Valde, who took a heat win yesterday. And the young gun we also had in the mix was Lucas Flusha. So there's going to be an interesting battle with those three over the course of the day. A few others having a go at it as well. But for the X30 Juniors, this is the last chance race. The second chance heat is the first one of the 11 races coming up. And this one will be played out between those drivers who want to get the last 6 places on the starting grid for this coming final. There are 28 drivers who have already gone through. There are 6 more to find. The top 6 across the finish line in the pre-final will be the ones who go through to the X30 Junior finales. So let's see who is going to be on the grid for that. Matthew Rees will be on pole position for Great Britain, along with the Finn Jasper Hassanen. Daniel Nogales will be on the second row alongside the Swiss Aaron Rechepi. Those will be the top 4 heading into this incredible encounter, and we'll have some amazing racing from them, no doubt. There's a few big names to keep an eye on as they get into this final chance race. A few of those who have been not in the greatest position for various different reasons. The German Daniel Gregor is there on the third row. He's had all sorts of difficulties heading into qualifying on Friday afternoon and then through the heats yesterday. But there's a strong chance he can come back from it. We also need to make a mention for 2 of the Brits who are just inside the top 10, who need to get a little bit more out of this last chance race and break into the top 6 if they can. Namely Freddie Spindlow, who was testing here earlier in the week around sort of Wednesday or Thursday. He starts 7th on the grid for this last chance race. He's not had any luck at all over the course of Friday or Saturday, and that's why he finds himself in the top 10 of the last chance heat rather than already booked into the pre-final. He was incredibly quick over the course of the week, faster even than his teammate Lewis Gilbert at times, so it's a little bit of a lackluster performance so far, but this is his moment to rekindle his weekend and get himself back into the frame. Similarly for Zach Meakin yesterday, incredibly quick over the course of the weekend and great times throughout, but unfortunately in one of the heats he ended up into the barriers at turn 1 and needed some attention for his right wrist. Fortunately he is okay and he is relatively unscathed. There's a little knock on his arm, but it's not going to let him slow down any, and there's a few other drivers in the list from the international contingent who will want to really come through and do a stronger job. Matis Malinovskis, the Latvian, will start from 4th row of the grid. Just inside the top 10 is the young Pole Oliver Polka, so Polka will want to do a really good job here as well. The Belgian ace Alessandro Tudiska could be an interesting one as well, but it's going to be an advantage for anybody who's on that inside line, as we found all day yesterday. Anybody on the odd side of the grid as opposed to the even side of the grid really had a good advantage heading down to that first corner. The first race is going to be in about 9 minutes time, so we've got plenty of build-up to get you through. We've already had a little bit of a refresher for those watching via Telemundi Media as to how things go. We're also streaming via the Downforce UK podcast app as well, and through IAME If you're thinking this looks pretty exciting and you were watching yesterday and you want to get on the grid, well, the European Championship is of course only a matter of weeks away, with 4 weekends in the IAME Euro Series Championship to come. We start at the end of March as we head to Salbris in France, just a little further south from Orléans, and it's going to be a really interesting battle, that one, as Salut César Cazot as he makes his way up to the viewing gallery. Hopefully that will be a strong weekend for him if we see him in the European Series. You'll hear from Cesar Gazzo a little bit later on as he goes to battle in the X30 junior class. Then we move on from that particular round of the championship at Salbris to May, when we go to Marienborg in Belgium, which is a very beautiful and picturesque circuit in a lovely part of the country. Then we move on to Wackersdorf, the legendary German circuit, not too far from Nuremberg in the east of the country of Germany, and it is an absolutely amazing part of the world. It's Sachsenring territory. And then we move on to the final round of the European Series in early August at Siete Larghi, which of course is at Castelletto near Milan in Italy, and that is proper Ferrari country. We all love going there. It is a wonderful circuit and a fantastic event, and we're looking forward to that one being the fourth and final round of the European Series in August. For those karters who are watching thinking, I want to be in the European Championship, it is not too late. Head on to the website, IAMEEuroseries.com. Get your entries in as quickly as you possibly can, because the grids are filling up, as they always do. So that is what we've got to look forward to in the coming weeks. First of all, we've got to decide the IAME Winter Cup champion. Last year, we had around 58 drivers or so across all of the classes entered. This year, we have 157, and this is only the second year we've run the event as well. So an absolutely fantastic display of driving from all of the entries and all of the teams who have come from all over the world, never mind just in Europe. We have international drivers all the way and all over the scope of the European scene. From Britain and Ireland, they have travelled. Obviously here in Spain and across next door in Portugal, there have plenty of drivers who have come across, but we have the contingent from France, from Italy, from Germany, from Belgium, from Hong Kong out in Asia, from Singapore. We even have America and Japan represented here. We even have the Scandinavian contingent from Norway, from Finland, from Denmark and from Sweden. All sorts of drivers have come across from all different levels of competition. Some are here for the first time competing in Europe. Others are old hands at the game now. But the competition has been absolutely incredible all the way through. We have about 5 minutes or so to go before the first of the 11 races that we will run today to decide who will be the IAME Winter Cup champion. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to get through. So let's first of all talk you through the 20 drivers on the starting grid in the second chance heat for the X30 juniors as the whistle goes in the pits to ask the mechanics to clear the grid. So, it is Matthew Rees on pole position for Great Britain alongside the Finn Jasper Hassanen. Daniel Nogales of Spain is on the second row alongside Aaron Rechepi of Switzerland. Then it is the Frenchman Jules Goujon on the third row alongside German Daniel Gregor. Freddie Spindlow of Great Britain lines up on the fourth row alongside Matis Malinovskis of Latvia, and the Brit Zach Meekin lines up on row 5 alongside the Pole Oliver Pilka. Then it is Heroin Nureddini, the German, racing on row 6. Alongside him is the Belgian Alessandro Tudiska. Then we have Linus Janssen of Germany. He lines up beside the French lady Lola Lovinfoss. Then it is the Finnish racer Ate Salmon Nautio alongside the Brit Max Meir. Then it's Norway's Benjamin Fugelsang on row 9 alongside the British racer Liam McNeely. And on the final row of the grid it is the Italian Luca Graziani alongside Britain's Will Orton. So, all of the 20 drivers in this one know what's at stake. You have to cross the line in the top 6 to continue on with the rest of your weekend. Anybody who finishes 7th or lower will be eliminated from the competition, but there is definitely going to be an advantage for any of those drivers that start on the inside line. So you have to say that the drivers on that inside line, the likes of Matthew Rees, Daniel Nogales, Jules Goujon, Freddie Spindlow, Zach Meekin, Herolind Nureddini, they are the ones who are definitely going to have a stronger chance of getting into that top 6 in the initial start. But there is a long race to decide who is going to be going through. It is 7 laps of the X30 Junior second chance heat, and the top 6 drivers across the line, across those 20 karts, will be the ones that go through. And it has been absolutely incredible. Just to give you an idea of the kind of pace we have seen from the drivers over the course of the weekend, there have been about a second covered by half of the field in the top end of the grid. So it really is incredible. In the X30 senior category, it's been even more incredible than that. I mean, over the course of the 87 drivers entered, 62 of them in qualifying were covered by less than a second. You don't need much more of an indication of just how tough things currently are in this particular competition. It really is exceptional. The whistle goes for the last time in the pit lane before the drivers head out onto the grid for their, potentially for, well, it is going to be for 14 of them, their last race of the weekend. For 6 of them, it is their last chance to save their bacon, as it were, and get themselves into the mix once more. So we will see how they fare and how they continue on But it will be an interesting battle no matter what happens in this race. 7 laps once again of the X30 Junior grid for Matthew Rees and Jasper Hassanen on the front row of the grid. This is a make or break moment. And obviously Matthew Rees on pole position being the favourite for this one, but he's got a lot of incredibly talented drivers snapping at his heels trying to make it through. There's the Spaniard, Daniel Nogales, don't forget. Aaron Reshepi of Switzerland in behind Jasper Hassanen will be strong. Jules Goujon, the Frenchman, and Daniel Gregor, the German, are always going to be incredibly competitive racing drivers. Then you've got to watch for the flying Brits coming through on the inside line. Freddie Spindler and Zach Meakin will both be incredibly strong from that inside line, but there's a lot of great overtakers in the field as well. Don't forget Ollie Pilker, who's had a lot of bad luck the pole, but he's very good at fighting his way back up to the front end of the grid. We should see some interesting moves too from the likes of Helen Nureddini and Linus Janssen, who are part of the HTP kart team. Now, for those who are sports car racing fans as well as kart fans, that is absolutely correct. You are thinking the same HTP that runs sports car teams in ADAC, GT Masters and Blancpain and all the rest of it. It is the same team, and their academy is getting stronger and stronger by the year, and it will not be long before the HTP karting team of Germany is a fighting force dominating in European motorsport. You have got a lot of the other teams in the mix here, of course, as well. Some of the big names in the sport. But now as we look over the horizon and we look at absolutely no clouds in the sky whatsoever, in terms of rain clouds at least. There are a few light fluffy white ones, but that's all just going to give us a nice cool atmosphere over the course of the day. The weather is going to be a lot hotter than yesterday, and it is going to be a much sunnier, brighter, and more expectant mood of drama and action as we go into the final 11 races of the second annual IAME Winter Cup here at the Cartodromo Lucas Guerrero, just outside the town of Chiva, not far from the city of Valencia. We are a stone's throw away from the Circuito Ricardo Tormo, which is where they run the MotoGP and various sports car and touring car championships up and down the length and breadth of European competition. And we're only a few miles down the road from the venue of the incredible Formula One Grand Prix circuit at the city Marina Bay circuit of Valencia, which of course was where Fernando Alonso won his Formula One Grand Prix for Ferrari in that legendary race in 2012. We're only about a few miles down the road from that location as well. Several people have now flocked in. A few of the teams that are going to be testing midweek have come out a day or two early just to be able to be on the sidelines to watch as this incredible meeting unfolds. They are starting to flock into the spectator stands on top of the cafeteria down here in the pit lane and at the final turn as well as the drivers go out, headed out by Matthew Rees. Let battle begin. Rees, Hassanen, Nogales, Reshepi, Goujon, Gregor, Spindlo, Malinovskis, Meakin, Pilker, Nureddini, Tudiska, Janssen, Lovenfoss, Samanotio, Mir, Fugusang, McNeely, Graziani and Orton. Only 6 of them can progress through to the pre-final later on in the day, but this is the last chance for the remaining 20 drivers who need to book their place. 48 juniors over the course of the weekend have tried to book themselves a place in the pre-final. 28 have done it so far. Another 6 need to be found from this last chance heat. And genuinely, I don't know who is going to get the victory in this one. It is very close to call. All of these 20 drivers have earned their place in that pre-final. It should be a really interesting day at the office, and we're going to see some exciting racing all the way through the day. Every single one of the 20 drivers in this grid have worked incredibly hard. They all have immense and magnificent talents, but it's all going to be about who actually gets the draw and gets themselves into a top position. So Matthew Rees will lead the field around. Alongside him on the grid will be Jasper Hassanen, the Finn. A much sunnier start to the day than we've seen over the course of the weekend. This is a bit like it was on Friday morning. Absolutely baking hot sunshine to follow. It's already started to heat up the track. It's amazing this weekend. We start the days in winter woolies and wrapped up nice and snug and warm. And we continue into the midday with people starting to change into shorts and T-shirts. And then by 5 o'clock, everybody wraps up warm again. It's very unnerving for those who are not used to it. But these guys are definitely used to the intensity that is about to approach them. With 7 laps on the clock, these are the last 7 laps for 14 of these 20 competitors. 6 of them, however, will march onwards to the pre-final, which will be happening in about 2 or 3 hours or so from now. Well, actually, it's even less than that, thinking about it. It will be about 10 to 12 local time here. So, it's going to be an interesting one. Only 6 can make it through, don't forget. with Rees and Hassanen on the front row, Nogales and Reshepi, Goujon and Gregor, Spindlo, Malinovskis, Meekin and Pilker in the top 10. Keep your eyes peeled for the start. Anybody on that inside line is going to have a superior advantage, but that doesn't mean that the outside line won't get a shot. Here we go. Is that going to be a regrid? It is, yes. Unfortunately, that is a false start. The grid was not very well formed for that one, unfortunately, so we're going to have to go round again. And that means that obviously the pressure that was already pretty intense is still at fever pitch as we get ourselves ready for action once more. All of these drivers incredibly tense at this moment in time. Matthew Rees, Jasper Hassanen, Daniel Nogales, Aaron Reshepi, Jules Goujon, Daniel Gregor, Freddie Spindlo, Matis Malinovskis, Zach Meekin, Oliver Pilker, Helen Nerodini, Alessandro Tedesca, Linus Janssen, Lola Lovinfoss, Ate Salmanotio, Max Meyer, Benjamin Fugelsang, Liam McNeely, Luca Graziani, and William Orton. And it doesn't matter where you start on the grid in this race, everybody has just as equal a chance to make the race happen. Are we actually racing? No, we're not, by the look of it. Yellow flags are flying. The race, as far as I'm aware, has not started, but everybody seems to think it has, or some drivers seem to think it has. It is not actually a started race. If the tension wasn't high enough anyway, it definitely is now, as the drivers have suddenly realised, well, some of them have suddenly realised we're not actually racing at the moment. Goodness me, I thought it was a little bit confusing that some of them were, well, they were not bunching up, and they now realise that they're not actually racing. This is tense, you see, for the 20 drivers that are left in the standings here and have very much knowledge of the fact that only 6 of them are going to go through. It's very tense, and that means that concentration levels are sky high, and it's very easy to make mistakes at this point. So the drivers are obviously incredibly high tension at the moment, high maintenance within the cockpit of these karts. However, they are now getting themselves dialed in and ready once again. And it will be tough. They all know that, but anybody on the inside line will want to take full advantage of that opportunity. And Matthew Rees, the Welshman, on the front row of the grid, genuinely has a good chance to disappear and fly away with the fairies out in the first corner. But Jasper Hassanen alongside him will want to set the pace from that outside line. Nogales, Reshepi, Goujon, Gregor, Spindlo and Malinovskis within the first few rows as well. Meekin and Pilker rounding out the top 10. Keep an eye on Nodadini and Tudiska as well. They will want to surge through from row 6. Anybody further back, you better roll your sleeves up and get on with it. It's your last chance to make this one count. They have to stay within their grid hatchings. And this time we are away. Good start from Rees. Magnificent getaway. Goujon slots into second position early on. Nogales slots into second position early on, I should say. So Daniel Nogales in there in second place. No problems at all from him off the start. Third place is Aaron Reshepi of Switzerland. And as they go through the first couple of corners, there is a little bit of contact in turn 3, and that looks like Lola Lovinfoss getting slightly sideways, but managing to keep the cart in a straight line by the end of it all. But out in front, the Welshman, Matthew Rees, is looking to continue the magnificent form of Brits in the junior category. We saw Alex Lloyd doing such a good job yesterday, as well as Georgi Dimitrov, both picking up heat wins. And the man they all want to beat is, of course, watching from the sidelines, interested to see who gets through. And that man is Marty Boyer, the man they all want to beat, the local hero. But Matthew Rees is leading the way. And already the battle for second place is intensified, as up into second place has come Aaron Reshepi, I do believe. So Reshepi's there and now in front of Daniel Nogales. Fourth position is the 31. Good racing from Daniel Gregor. Then it's Jules Goujon and Zach Meekin. Meekin has got up into sixth position. He's the man on the bubble. Behind them, it's getting very intense. We've got Matis Malinovskis in front of Helen Nuradini. Alessandro Tedesca, the very fast starting Linus Janssen. And unfortunately, it looks as though we have no start from Freddie Spindlo. I don't see Freddie Spindlo anywhere around the circuit. And that is a real shame. He would have been starting on the fourth row, of course. But it's game over now for the youngster. Hopefully the rest of his 2018 karting campaign will be a lot stronger, but he'll have learnt a lot from this one. Look at the battle in the top four. As up into third place comes Daniel Gregor, past Daniel Nogales. But Aaron Reshepi has managed to get himself into the lead in front of Matthew Rees as the battle really is joined on lap 2 of this 7-lap encounter. So Reshepi, the Swiss man, is out in front. And he is doing an absolutely grand job. Matthew Rees there in second position. Then it is Gregor in front of Nogales. They're going to go side by side. 3 wide as here comes Gregor for the lead. Daniel Gregor takes the lead then off of Aaron Reshepi, having slipped past both he and Matthew Rees. 4th place is Nogales. 5th position, no problems at all from the Frenchman Jules Goujon, but Zach Meakin is closing up as well in P6. It looks like it could be all 6 of them battling for the lead, and if they get into a battle, it's going to get really intense. Reshepi goes for the lead on Daniel Gregor. Nogales gets put out sideways, and round the outside, Matthew Rees gets back into 3rd place. Now, that leaves the man in 4th position vulnerable to Jules Goujon. So is Nogales going to be able to hold off Goujon and Zach Meakin in 6th position? Very tight stuff. As up the inside for 7th place. That was a desperate lunge there from Alessandro Tedesca, trying to get past Herod and Nuradini, and it didn't work on this particular occasion. Matis Malinovskis has got his way up into 7th position now, as Nuradini trying his best to get his way past... Nuradini's got himself into 8th position. Tedesca is there. Here comes Daniel Gregor up the inside of Aaron Reshepi for the lead of this race. Gregor gets through. Reshepi has to switch right across to stop Matthew Rees coming through as well. But it is now the leader of the race is the number 31, Daniel Gregor of Germany. Aaron Reshepi is 2nd for Switzerland. 3rd place is the Welshman, Matthew Rees. And 4th position, it is that man, Daniel Nogales of Spain. Up the inside goes the Praga Hispania driver, and up to 3rd position. Matthew Rees back down to P4. Now, Zach Meakin has got up into 5th position further back. So the Brit is doing a grand job there and looking good to go through. Here comes Nogales, trying to defend from Matthew Rees, but Rees has got through and back into 3rd position. Now Meakin is going to try and get into that mix as well. But at the moment, it all looks good for Aaron Reshepi. The Swiss is out in front. Well, he was. Now it's Daniel Gregor. Gregor leading the way from Reshepi, Rees, Nogales, Meakin, and in 6th position, that looks like Jules Goujon, but he better watch his back because the man closing in is the Latvian, Matis Malinovskis. Malinovskis might have an opportunity to move up and get himself into the top 6, and that would be crucial because 6th position is the last place that gets you into the pre-final. Daniel Gregor leading, Reshepi 2nd, Rees, Nogales, Meakin, Goujon and Malinovskis. That's your top 7 at the moment. There's a few trying to get closer to them. 8th place currently is Linus Janssen, the other German in the mix for HTP. Then we have Max Meyer, Heronin Nurudini. Lola Lovinfos is up to 11th now from Alessandro Tedesca. So good work and a good fight back from Reshepi. Reshepi gets the lead. Rees tries to get through as well, and that opens the door for Nogales. Nogales is through into 3rd place now. So Reshepi takes 1st, Nogales takes 3rd. But Daniel Gregor is coming straight back at Aaron Reshepi. This could be very close indeed. We're about to go into the penultimate lap as the end of lap 5 emerges. Rees is trying to make the move on the inside of Nogales, and he's through. Nogales is down to 4th, and Rees is through into P3. He's safe for the moment. But Malinovskis is making the crucial move on Jules Goujon. Malinovskis gets into P6. That puts him through for the moment. Reshepi now leading in front of Gregor. 3rd is Rees. 4th is Nogales. Then it's Meakin. Malinovskis now makes the move on Meakin. Meakin is now on the bubble in P6. Malinovskis up at a P5. And there goes Nogales for 3rd place on Matthew Rees. So Nogales through into 3rd position. Malinovskis is now P5 behind them, and Meakin is 5th. Down in 7th position now, that is Linus Janssen. Linus Janssen has put himself up into 7th place. The German is coming, but he might just fall short. It all depends on the battle in front of him. But he's got himself into exactly the right position to take advantage. 2x2 hurrah in the top 6. Reshepi and Gregor, Rees and Nogales, Meakin and Malinovskis. Malinovskis in front of Rees at the moment, though, of course. Reshepi leading Gregor. Nogales breaks deep into the chicane to stop the charge from Rees as we go into the final lap. It's now or never, and Reshepi's defending on the inside line. Daniel Gregor has a chance to make the sweep back through. Round the inside. Round through turn 1. The quick flick out of 2. At the moment, Aaron Reshepi is safe and sound. Nogales makes the move on the inside, and that's put him into 2nd position at exactly the right moment. Rees tries to follow him through past Daniel Gregor, and he hasn't quite made it through yet. Nogales looks safe in 2nd position for the moment. Malinovskis makes the move on the inside of Matthew Rees. Rees will not give way. That's the best Gandalf impression I've ever seen. You shall not pass. Down the short stretch to the left and right. Reshepi still leading, Nogales in 2nd, Gregor in 3rd, Rees in 4th, Malinovskis 5th, and Zach Meakin in 6th. But watch out, Linus Janssen. There, bounce. Down the back straight for the last time. It's looking good for Aaron Reshepi and Daniel Nogales. Here comes Daniel Gregor. He wants to book his place. 3rd position will do, though, and it looks like Aaron Reshepi's going to get there. Malinovskis is battling away with Zach Meakin. It's Reshepi from Nogales, Gregor, Rees, And across the line, it is Malinovskis and Meekin. Those are the 6 that get through then. Enon Reshepi, Daniel Nogales, Daniel Gregor, Matthew Rees, Maris Malinovskis and Zach Meekin. Those are the 6 that go through. And sadly, therefore, we have to say goodbye to Linus Janssen in 7th. A valiant drive through to 8th for Lola Lovinfos. What a drive from her. So near and yet so far. But what a drive up to 8th position for Lola. Helen Nuruddini in 9th place. Jules Goujon slips to 10th in the end. But full credit has to go to the 3 drivers that made up the most progress in that race. And that, without a shadow of a doubt, were Linus Janssen up to 7th, Lola Lovinfos up to 8th, and further back, Luca Graziani went from the back row of the grid up to 13th. Good progress from them all, but it's just short of qualification for the pre-final. What a shame, but Lola Lovinfos really putting in a good show here. Behind Linus Janssen, Helen Nuruddini is 9th, Jules Goujon is 10th, from Alessandro Tedesca in 11th, Atisama Nautio, who was fastest in the second sector of the race. Lola Lovinfos, by the way, was fastest in the first. Then it was Luca Graziani in 13th, from Liam McNeely, Benjamin Fugelsang, Jasper Hassanen, Max Meir, Will Orton, and sadly out of the race halfway through was Oliver Pilka, who could very easily have been in the mix as well. But with Pilka out, and also Freddie Spinlow failing to make the